Hello and welcome to our interview series talking about loss. I'm Ollie and I'm a trustee for the charity It's Time. As you may well know, we're a new charity that's been established to make the world a better place for young adults who've lost one or both of their parents. Joining us today, we have another Ollie. So thank you so much for joining with us today and agreeing to share some of your experiences. To begin, it'd be great if you could just introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you're currently doing in life.
Hiya. I'm Ollie Price. I am currently working in recruitment. I work in commercial and residential investment property recruitment. Working from home permanently, which very much suits me. So that's been sort of since the pandemic. But prior to that, we were a business anyway that was allowing to work a couple of days a week. But no, complete remote now. Really suits me. So that's good.
Nice one. Are you based in London as well?
Yeah. So just outside London, Hertfordshire and Bushy. I'm based. So as and when need to go into London, nice and easy to jump on the train and go 15 minutes into Euston. So nice and easy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think slowly but surely the trains are getting busier, as we've all seen. So,
yeah, they are.
We're slowly getting there. Thank you for that. In terms of why we're here today, so many of people watching and yourself included have seen the kind of things we've been talking about. And obviously we're delving into people who have, as we've said before, have lost one or both of their parents. It'd be great if you could just share a little bit about your recent experience, about the loss that's occurred in your life, and just give us a little bit of context around that.
Yeah, sure. So I lost my mum in November of last year, November the 9th of last year. She had cancer for just over 3 years. It started very, very, very small. It started with skin cancer from being in the sun as a kid in France. Not wearing sun cream and things like that. And then it was a very small 0.2 millimeter mole that they removed as a skin graft. And then unfortunately, 2 years later, she got melanoma. So it's basically where the lymph nodes get cancer, pretty much. It started under her left arm. She had an operation very early, very quickly, to remove, it was around 30 lymph nodes they removed. Very successful, and was told pretty quickly that would be that. It hadn't spread anywhere else. So we were all, very positive. That was great. And really from there, we had a year where it was fine. She was having treatment, but nothing serious. Didn't lose hair or appearance wise. Everything was fine, and you wouldn't know that she had cancer, a horrible disease. And then after that, it came back. Well, melanoma never goes. It's always in your body, because it's in the blood, it's in the lymph nodes, and it's always moving around. So it then came back quite aggressively, and it was same place in under the left arm, and had also sort of progressed into the breast, lymph nodes in the breast. And again, another operation. So all in all, she had 3 or 4 operations, and again, she was poorly, but still getting on with life as relatively normal. We'd still go on holiday. So we still went on holiday. We still did normal things. My mum was probably working the most challenging job of her career. She opened 3 hotels in one in London, one in Manchester, and one in Edinburgh, for a large hotel chain, and was the HR director there. So I was working probably the hardest she's ever worked. She then left there, slightly due to health, but also slightly due to a buyout in the business, and it suited her. Then we sort of got to really November 19. And that was where things started going downhill, I guess. She was in and out of hospital all the time, but we still didn't ever hear the dreaded word terminal. It was never a conversation that was brought up. She had an amazing oncologist, and it was never brought up, that word. So in and out of hospital, but we never spoke about death, I guess. And then we went on holiday in July, so we managed to get away in July last year to Mallorca for a final holiday, which was sort of, wasn't sure whether we were going to be able to get away or not because of COVID, but we did, which was really nice. And I didn't live at home at this point. I lived with my fiance, and I didn't quite realize how poorly my mum was. And on that holiday, it was quite obvious that she was very poorly. But even then, we were still going out for dinner. She would still have a drink with dinner. She wasn't a heavy drinker, but she'd still have a drink with dinner, and it was still relatively normal. We then came back from holiday, and she left holiday 2 days early and went straight into hospital. She got a lot of fluid in her arm, and it had to be drained. And so it wasn't anything really serious why she was going into hospital, and it never was. And then she went into hospital in September, and she got a new oncologist and started a new treatment in just before the July holiday. And she went in for a checkup in September. In September, the doctor turned around and said, "It's terminal. You've got 3 months to live." That was very tough to hear, obviously. And then she actually, at that point, went back to her original oncologist. And he had a long chat with us all, partly over Zoom and partly in person, which is tough, I'm sure, for a lot of people, that you couldn't go into the hospitals and things like that. But when we saw him, he said, no, sorry, this is not terminal. Yes, it's got bad, and yes, it has spread to her pelvis and also her lower back. But he wanted to put her back onto her original radiotherapy. So that's what he did. And actually, for the next sort of 6 weeks, things did start shrinking. Some of the tumors in her back and pelvis actually did start shrinking. There was some fluid on her lungs, which they weren't sure whether it was cancer or not. And that wasn't going, and that was ultimately a concern. But either way, throughout that sort of 6-8 week period, 6-week period, basically until October the 23rd, we had real hope that actually it wasn't terminal because of things shrinking, which kept us mentally stable, I guess, because we didn't have a lot of people, I'm sure they do, we didn't have that 3-month wait where nothing was going on and we were just waiting for her to pass away. So then we went to, she then went into hospital on October 23rd, the day after my birthday. And she went into hospital with the expectation that she'd be coming out about 10 days later. That's what he'd said. She, on the Tuesday the following week, she was like, "Yep, I'm coming out on the Wednesday." On the Wednesday morning, my mum couldn't communicate, literally overnight. Couldn't communicate, deteriorated overnight, lost speech, everything. And we were like, is this the drugs? And initially they said it was the drugs. And I think deep down we all knew. They then asked us if we wanted to do not resuscitate, and we were sort of like, at this point, right, this is it. We still weren't 100% sure, because the doctors were still telling us that it could partly be down to the drugs that she couldn't communicate. We were then told that no, about a couple of days later, we were then told no, that is it. That there's not going to be much more life left in Mum. And on the Friday, Mum's one wish, and one of the only things Mum could tell my dad and me and my sister and my fiance, was that she wanted to come home. She doesn't care how difficult it is, but she wanted to come home. She's going to be taking off a lot of medication and drips and things like that. And we knew it wouldn't be long, but she wanted to come home. And she came home on the Friday evening, late Friday evening. It was a big challenge. And I mean, huge respect to the hospital for managing to do it and put it into place. But it was very, very difficult to get her home because they were said, look, she could pass away on the way home. So we got her home Friday, Saturday, Sunday. She then passed away on the Sunday. But we had a nice is probably not the right word, but we had a really, really nice finish to her life. She was at home where she wanted to be with her dogs, with my dad, me, and family, and a couple of close friends came around. But yeah, no, we got her last wish was to come home, and we managed to do that. But yeah, no, so it was very quick. From being told that it was terminal to not terminal to passing away 3 months later. I think we all still sort of generally believe that the oncologist who'd been in our lives for 3.5 years was actually doing that to protect us. And it did. It massively helped all of us that he told us it wasn't. I'm sure he wasn't lying, but he did. I think he did. He clung on hoping that he could maybe help her. But yeah, no. So the Sunday then passed away peacefully in her sleep overnight.
Thank you very much for sharing that with us, Ollie. I think that's first of all, I think it's nice to hear that your mom got that wish, and I think the fact that she was able to spend her last days in the place and around the people she loved is really nice, and something that naturally gives comfort to you guys, hopefully. And also the fact that you got away in July, which is, with everything going on in the world, able to have that last holiday, hopefully very nice memories. You've touched on a lot of things there, from obviously going away and seeing your mom deteriorate, unfortunately, to having a birthday in the middle of this, to having kind of differing news around your mom's health. Could you give us a sense of what was that was like for you as a person, and how you've dealt with that emotionally throughout that process?
Yeah, not very well. I think the problem was because there was a lot of my family trying to protect me and not let them know how poorly mum was. I think when I really saw it, and on the holiday, it was really tough, and I struggled to deal with it. Yeah, I mean, I guess that is it really. I really struggled with the up down, in hospital, out hospital, not being able to see. Look, I did see her throughout lockdown and COVID, because there wasn't anyone that was going to stop me from seeing her, but it was still not the same. I didn't really hug my mum throughout the whole period, and that was tough. I was very, very, very close to my mum. And to not know how poorly she was tough. And I don't hold that against my parents at all. I respect them for doing that, because I think, had I have known, it might have been even tougher. But seeing her on that holiday, I think was really, really tough, and I struggled to cope with that.
Yeah, and there's no doubt about it that process is extremely difficult, and it was made definitely more difficult with the circumstances that we're living in terms of your physical emotions as well. Like, so obviously you struggled, and you said you struggled with that process. How did that manifest for you? Are you someone that gets upset? Are you someone that gets angry?
Yeah.
A lot of differing ways that this emotion manifests in people.
So definitely upset, but yeah, the anger side of things did come out around that holiday time, and add drink and alcohol to that, it didn't go down very well at times. I mean, nothing serious happened, but yeah, the anger, it was quite prominent, and a side to me that I'd not seen before. And looking back at it now, it probably was grief, but I didn't really know that it was grief. And I just couldn't deal with life at that moment around that time. And yeah, I mean, I am quite an emotional person anyway. But yeah, the anger was definitely quite prominent around that time.
Yeah, and as I said, it's something that's really common, and it's something that I know I personally experienced. As anger was a massive outlet for me for a long period of time with dealing with things like this. So But I think letting emotions come and letting your emotions manifest is definitely important. So I think it's good to some degree that did come out. Just so obviously you spoke about your mom. You spoke about the fact that you're very close with your mom. Be great if you could give us a sense of what she was like as a person. What was she into? What were her hobbies? What was her character like? If you don't mind sharing that with us.
No, no, no. So she was the hardest worker I know. That was her life, working. Obviously, family and holidays as well, but we would speak daily. And yeah, work was huge for her, and she really, really enjoyed work. She always worked in sort of hospitality. Well, hospitality, and also actually she worked at the hospital, the hospital group that cared for her, which was really nice because she had a lot of friends looking after her. But work was huge to her. Going abroad, we had a apartment in Mallorca that we got rid of prior to her passing away, but that was a big part of her life. So yeah, Mallorca, going abroad. Family was really, really big. Most of what we did was as a family. I mean, as I said, still July last year, we went away. My mum, my dad, my sister, me, and my fiance, and that was quite common throughout my whole life. We would always go away as a family. It was always very much. As growing up, my mum would pick up friends and take them to school, because that was just her person she was. And I remember she still joked about it till very late on, that she had to buy a 7-seater car, because she'd always have my friends and my sister's friends in the car with her, picking them up and taking them to school and doing the chores and run around after us all. And she certainly was a taxi for all of us. But she loved it, because we used to go to France when I was growing up as well, and we had I would be out there for the whole summer pretty much, and I'd have different friends that would come and join us all up throughout the whole summer. But my mum loved it, and she'd bring her friends out there, and yes, so that was huge for her, being together with people that she loved. And yeah, so she had a pretty nice life.
Absolutely, yeah. She sounds like a wonderful lady. Clearly someone that enjoyed making you and your sister happy and inviting friends around, which sounds brilliant. So it's nice
Definitely.
that there's those memories that hopefully you can share and smile about now in hindsight. And just coming back to that family point, so obviously your mum was a very big family woman. How has your family as a collective dealt with the situation, and have you managed to come together closer on the back of it?
Yeah, we are still a very, very close family. I speak to my sister on a daily basis, and yeah, so from that point of view, me and my sister are still me and my sister probably actually got closer, in terms of communicating with each other. We were always very close, and she'd always come out with us, but it was in terms of communicating and speaking to each other, we probably have got closer from that point of view. There's been some tough times. My mum was very much the person who would hold the family together, and she would be the rock at the top. And there's been a few things between us, but nothing serious. And it's missing that slight person that glues it all together at times, when there are your very normal family disagreements or whatever it may be, when she just comes in and goes, guys, stop, shut up. But it's only because of that. And yeah, but my dad has definitely, he's definitely been someone who has had to adapt to this new way of life, and struggled at the beginning, I think, but very normal. And now has definitely, I don't want to say stepped up, because he never needed to step up, but for this terminology, has slightly stepped up to take both roles, and has done a good job at it. So yeah.
No, it's interesting, and to the point around your sister, I know me and my brother, for example, got way closer when we lost our dad, and I think that's in some way a nice thing to come out of what's a horrible circumstance. Is there's relationships that are built and things happen, which can be seen in a positive light, which is nice. In obviously outside of your family, was there anyone else you were able to turn to for support? I know you were obviously working at the time in terms of your working environment, perhaps your friendships, and was this something you were able to talk about and share with people? And how did you find help from different facets of your life to deal with what was going on?
So my boss was fantastic. I couldn't have asked for better. He was absolutely brilliant. So yeah, I didn't necessarily talk to him, but he gave me what I needed. I got the month off work in November when she passed, and just before that as well. And he was unbelievable, and there was sort of no question marks over that at all, which was great. And I think is expected, but at the same time, I think a lot of businesses wouldn't necessarily do that. So that was great. Also, my fiance's mum, I spoke to her a lot. So yeah, I mean, my fiance's mum I spoke to a lot around that, and she was a fantastic support. More so now, more recently than straight away, a therapist has definitely helped me. So yeah, that is something that I'm quite proud to say I have done, I do, and it helps me massively. Yeah, so I think for me, friends, I've got some fantastic friends, and they're always there for me if I need them. But I didn't really talk to them because I think for me, when I saw them, it was to see them to have fun and maybe forget about it as such. Whereas my future mother-in-law and yeah, she was probably the main person for me that I talked to. I mean, obviously, I spoke to my fiance, but I spoke to my future mother-in-law maybe on a different level to my fiance. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's super interesting, and I think it's another example of how you found your personal way of talking, and for some people, for some people that is their friends, for other people that is a therapist, for other people that's a combination, or another figure in your life, for example, your fiance's mom, which is it's nice. I think that you found that, and I think hopefully that helps your process. In terms of just to wrap things up, first of all, thank you so much for sharing everything that you've shared. Some really interesting ways that I think you've dealt with it, and I think very maturely, clearly, and a way hopefully other people can learn a lot from just different angles and different ways that you have dealt with the entire journey since obviously your mom got ill 3-4 years ago. If you could go back and potentially give one bit of advice to someone else who potentially is either anyone who's either struggling with maybe potentially a parent who's ill or a parent who's recently died, is what would that be, and what could you tell them that you think may just give that little bit of more hope and a little bit more optimism that things are going to be okay?
Yeah, I guess look, everyone is ultimately different, but I think one thing I've learned from doing this and speaking to therapists and speaking to friends and family who have also lost people is to talk about the memories and talk about their life. Cry, do whatever you need to do, but talking about their life, it takes a slight weight off my shoulders anyway. If I feel down or I feel whatever it may be, and I sit there and I talk for half an hour, 10 minutes, an hour, whatever it may be about their life, yes, I'll cry, yes, I'll get upset, but you feel good after it because you do end up laughing and you end up coming round to the nice things. And for me, I mean, yeah, that I know talking to a therapist is not for everyone, but that also has massively helped me. And don't be too proud to say I'm going to go and see a counsellor. I'm going to go and see a therapist, because it does help. Trust me.
Brilliant. No, I completely echo those words, and I think a great bit of advice and a really nice way to finish. So thank you very much for joining us, Ollie, and good luck with the wedding, if that's on the next.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.